Okay, so how many of you in the audience are renters? All right, I see a couple. Okay, how many of you actually like dealing with your landlord or talking to him? Yeah, I figured nobody. Me either. Personally, in a perfect world, the only times I'd really ever want to talk to the landlord are the day that I'm moving in and the day that I'm moving out, and maybe if something happens and I need their help with something. Uh, The reason for giving the speech is to save you guys some money and some hassle with just dealing with your rental property agencies or your landlords. Um, so, a lot of rental property agencies or landlords take advantage of college students with by giving them unknown fees, which they kind of squeeze into like the end, like your last month or when you move out, as like a potential for extra profit. Um, and college students are also being sent home due to Corona, which is leaving them with like a hefty their rent bill. You know, they're not even staying at their houses, and they still have to pay their rent. So I'm gonna talk about both of those. Um, so actually, I've dealt with uh, renting or renters trying to um, impose fees at the end. I've dealt with it myself. I used to live in Allendale. I won't say the name of the place, but they did at the end of our lease, literally like the last day I was moving out, all of a sudden I got a notification saying, "Hey, I have an overdue balance in my renter's account. I need to check it." And I was like, "Okay." I figured like, yeah, I'll probably get like a $20-$30 fee, something maybe for leaving a scratch on the wall or something. No, I ended up having $480 in fees that I owed to um, to the place, in which I had no idea what it was for, and I started looking, and it turns out that supposedly we had left, me and my roommates, we had left like trash out or trash there, and so they charged us $25 a bag of trash, and they said that we left 5 bags, and so then it was a total of $125 for that. They had to replace the carpet in the living room, which we already had told them that there was rips and stuff. So it was just like a whole list of things. Like the vanity in the bathroom needed to be replaced. We ended up going back, and I knocked on the door myself and said, "Hey, can I look at something?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, sure." Turns out they didn't even replace the vanity, and so that's actually how we were able to get that cost cut into like an eighth of the price. Yeah, so we went from $480 to $80, which is pretty cool. But it was also kind of whack because um, we ended up figuring out that there was a lot of other kids that actually were dealing with the same thing. We ended up finding 15 other people that had over $200 in charges from the same place that we lived at, and they had no idea why as well. And then they ended up fighting it too, and then dropped. They all dropped to less than $50. Theirs did. Ours ended up being the most. I don't know what happened. We were pretty decent. There was a couple of things left in the apartment that, obviously we were like, all right, yeah, we were gonna get a charge for that, but no, not $480 worth. And so, um, yeah, so basically what they're doing is they're almost like giving or just like adding all these fees and saying like, yeah, this happened, this was done to the house, and hoping that you guys don't say anything, like won't argue it, won't nothing, because then they just are getting free money in hopes that you're paying it, and a lot of kids actually pay it. A lot of kids are just like, yeah, and whatever, it is what it is. I don't even want to deal with it, and they're losing out on all this money, and and $480, that was a whole month's worth of rent almost. And so we were like, whoa, now calm down. Um, and so, but they're actually um, at the University of Northern Iowa, these students all these students were interviewed, and they many of their security deposits. So the security deposit is basically like when you move in, it's like what you owe or you pay up front, and it's like if and it's supposed to cover any damages that happen to the house at the end, and then you don't get it back. If there's nothing that happens and you get it back, well, a lot of the students in at Northern Iowa were not getting their security deposits back, but had done nothing to the houses, so they were all really um, unsure as to what was going on. Well, six of them ended up contacting a lawyer, and it turns out that the company that they were going through was doing it to almost every single account or college student, whatever you want to call it, renter, um, they had. And so a lot of them were just paying it and not saying anything, but these 6 students actually brought it to light, which then allowed for a lot of the other students to get theirs taken care of as well, just because the lawyers were, going after the guys. But so that was just another one. Colleges, MSU actually, they were sending students home like without, so like you had to go home. You just kind of had to go home. You couldn't without any say, and they were leaving the kids with all the still having to pay their rent, and so a lot of the kids were stuck with like $900 rent bills. And actually, the Detroit Free Press, talked to 18 of the students, and none of those students had said that their landlords would give them any break or on rent or anything, or even asked to end their leases early, and they were denied. Some students were given the opportunity to have their late fees waived, but that was like only a couple of them. And so my advice to you would be to take pictures of everything, literally everything. If somebody comes and marks a wall with a pencil, take a picture of it. Take a picture of it just so that you have it as proof. Take a picture of every room the day you're moving out. Take a picture of all the bathrooms, all the walls, everything, so that you know what the house looked like when you moved out, so that they don't try to say, oh yeah, this was there, this was there, this was there. And worst case scenario, take legal action if needed. It's a real quick call, and they will end up covering the cost of the court fees or the fees that the lawyers take, because it's their own fault. Usually, sometimes. But yeah, so just, I guess, be cautious. Just know what you're dealing with and what it takes to be a renter and what it takes to move out. And just remember that you're just security deposit. Don't forget about your security deposit. A lot of times they won't even say a word to you, and if you don't say a word to them, they keep it. And so just be cautious of that and just have fun. Don't think that moving into your own apartment or your own place is scary, but just take care of it. Just kind of leave it the way you found it, and you shouldn't have any issues. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.